Hello, welcome, welcome, one and all, ladies and gentlemen, boys and ghouls, guys and gals, and non-gendered pals. Welcome to another exciting episode of the Witches Movie Coven. Now, I am not Patti Negri. That is because Patti is somewhere in the ether, and she is probably contending with Willow at the moment. And by Willow, I don't mean that her dog. Willow, there she is. Speaking of Patti, welcome, Patti.
Hello, everybody. That was fun. Could not get on the internet.
Well, you were contending with Willow, and
I was contending with Willow. Actually, Willow's out on a play date. I have no excuse except for that I could not get on the internet.
Well, you're here now, and welcome.
We're late. Is everybody there? Hi, everybody. Have we gone? Are we on? Hi.
We are.
Yeah. Hi. Okay.
I was just doing a brief intro. We didn't see you, so I just did a quick intro. I just welcomed everybody, and now that you are here, since you are so much prettier than I am, Ms. Patti Negri, ladies and gentlemen, boys and ghouls, guys and gals, non-gendered pals, Ms. Patti Negri.
Thank you very much, Richard-Lael. Thank you, everybody. And I feel a little lost because I don't know if you said hello. You didn't say hello. You introduced. Did you tell people what the movie was? Did you not tell people what the movie was? Who's married in Grant's tomb? Who is buried in Grant's tomb? I don't know. Hi. Thank you, Lisa. Hi, Ray and Angel. Hi, everybody. Yes, Willow. First off, our sending love to Val Kilmer. On the other side of the veil, beautiful Val Kilmer, which is why we chose this movie. Did we introduce this movie already?
Not really. I just sort of mentioned that it was Willow that we were going to be dealing with, and we didn't. I didn't say hello to anybody else, all of our other illustrious hosts, but it is now you. Yes, you. Introduce yourself.
We're very professional here at the Witches Movie Coven. You come on smooth and easy all the way. All right, I am Patti Negri. I am your late. I'm sorry, I had internet issues getting online. I'm one of your hosts. You might know me from my podcast, The Witching Hour. This was tough. I was scrambling, or from Ghost Adventures, or from Bathroom Walls Across America. Let me pass this on to my beautiful, beautiful co-host. Let's start with Richard-Lael.
Well, that would be me. I did not get a chance to introduce myself. I am Richard-Lael. Richard-Lael is one name, not two. If I were just Richard, I would be a... That is right. I am known as the gentleman psychic. I'm a psychic and a medium. I used to be a psychic and a small, but I gained some weight. However, I also joined the gym. So I might be a psychic and a small before too long. Other than that, I will tell you, I am different than all of the other psychics here in New Orleans because they're all doom and gloom or love and light, and I am a happy medium. I am the gentleman psychic. You may have seen me on Ghost Adventures. You may see me at University of Magicus. I am so easy to find.
Oh, thank you very much. Hi, everybody's saying hi to you. That's beautiful. How about Courtney?
That's me, Courtney Buckley. I'm Ghost Bait on Scared and Alone. And I'm very excited to have a lot of things to talk about tonight. And also, before I forget, because my ADHD has been 90HDing this week, I would like to just put out a reminder there for anyone that celebrates Mother's Day or that needs to purchase a gift for someone for Mother's Day. Nathan, I'm talking directly to you. There are some excellent choices on mysterycontrol.com, including a shirt that I think we all can share, except for me, mine didn't come yet. Worst orgy ever. What? How can you not want to go on to mysterycontrol.com? Look, you can get my sweatshirt that I have on. Wouldst thou like to watch movies deliciously with Black Phillip? You can get a Black Phillip. You can check out the vault. There's a lot of cool stuff on there. So check it out and get the witchy person or the paranormal person or the just, want a cool t-shirt person in your life a gift for Mother's Day. So mysterycontrol.com. You can scan the QR code right there.
Thank you very much. And thank you guys for Mystery Control. Let's move on to Jason.
I thought for a second Courtney would be like, all right, everybody, this is what I want for Mother's Day. Buy me and Heather things, you childless other co-hosts.
I do love there's a blood quartz a murder quartz. I don't know what it looks. It looks like blood trapped in a quartz, and I have had my eye on it. So, and if anyone was interested in buying me anything, that's the one.
Put away for hex prevention going forward. I am Jason Mankey, prolific Llewellyn author. This is my latest book, which will be out in 3 weeks. High Priest Raymond Buckland, the father of American witchcraft. Also, prolific traveler to pagan events. I will be coming to your town one day, maybe soon.
Thank you very much. And last and never, never, ever least, Heather Greene.
Hi, I'm Heather Greene. I am the author of Lights, Camera, Witchcraft. There it is. Ooh, there it is. It is the critical history of witches and witchcraft in American film and television. And I am also a freelance journalist. I cover occult and all things witchy, as well as an editor at Llewellyn Worldwide. And adding to that, I just like to mention that I'm also on the board of Mystic South Conference. It is coming up. We're going to run out of hotel rooms. We have a great program. Watch the feeds, all the social feeds for when that will be released. And that's coming up in July. So if you need to go to one of those wonderful witchy pagan events that Jason just mentioned, you can try a Mystic South out in Atlanta. And I just saw something pop up on the screen real quick, Patti.
Well, I did. And mine, yes, I have a new book. It's coming out too. Beautiful intro by Heather. It's called Dollcraft, and mine is upstairs. And but
Mine just disappeared too.
There it is.
Oh wait, hold on. Nope, that's not it.
There's a picture of it right there. Dollcraft.
Yeah,
You guys,
have
we're
one
doing
somewhere
great.
Too. Now
We're really,
It's
we're just doing so well. This
We
is
are
the best
professionals.
episode. Yeah, we've done. This is the most on task episode.
There it is, though. There's the cover and the pre-order offer.
We are
Mhm.
professional. We are smooth as ice. I have to tell you
I
guys.
just had one. Where did it go? What is going on? Like,
I hate to tell you this, Jason. Probably with both of my Black Phillips, who are on their head, thrown against the wall when I couldn't get. I've injured Black Phillip.
Patty, all you do on this show is talk about animal abuse and how you can't watch it in real life, and you just throw your Black Phillips against the wall.
I was a frustrated moment.
Patty,
I will go get him.
I'm also missing my blink Phillip.
Carry on. Hold on.
I'm missing my blink Phillip,
Oh
which
no, here
is
we go.
probably where the book is. Like it's all gone. Thanks for watching. Thanks for watching. This has been the Witches Movie Coven. We're calling it an early night.
For anybody new to our program,
We're very
You
professional
chose a great night.
today.
you chose a great night. Yes.
It's going to be a good night. There's Bling Phillip,
there it
and
is.
fabulous scarf from Heather Phillip, and I didn't mean to blow them. I was squeezing them so hard. I thought it would be safer if they were halfway across the room. It's like I cannot get online,
I understand that. Also, you can get a Bling Phillip on mysterycontrol.com.
so we could all have Bling Phillip.
Right, mine's over
Yeah.
here.
And I share
Mine-
mine, Bling Phillip. I share mine. I wear it one day. He wears it the next day.
Beautiful.
Mine ran away. Blink Phillip is mad at Jason. He ran away with Ted's book. It's just that's what happened.
It's one of those days, and it's not even a full moon, is it? No,
Oh.
never, ever. I'm sorry, Black Phillip. I'm sorry. It's a frustrating day. I'm going to be on a ghost hunt all night, and I'm leaving at 4 a.m, and I've not finished packing.
Are you bringing Black Phillip to the ghost hunt?
Ooh, maybe.
I will say that my Black Phillip has gone on a total of 1 ghost hunt, I think, and he went to the Villisca Axe Murder House, and I left him inside.
That is a good one. Did he like it? Was he scared?
He was terrified because he was the only thing that was keeping me alive, and he was terrified, and I left him inside, and I had to run back inside and get him in the middle of the night. So be careful if you do bring them.
I will be very, very careful
Because otherwise they might ask you a question.
Yes, my husband's looking at me like, "What are you doing?"
We're just talking with our friends. We're just
Thing. I know. No, we're very professional. That's the word of the day. All right, back to our movie, Willow, the movie Willow. Hopefully you all watched it. And just in case somebody missed it, Richard-Lael, wait, what was that? Do you, we are very professional. Do you happen to have an unbiased synopsis of this lovely film?
I certainly do. So picture it. 1988. You're high on, and you can't decide, do I want to play Dungeons and Dragons, or do I want to go watch a film, or do I want to read Lord of the Rings, or do I want to even maybe read The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe? Maybe that's what you want to do, and you decide to do all of them. And this is what happens in this film: is a short guy who lives in a village of short guys somehow finds a baby who is going to be murdered by her witch aunt, not her who aunt, but her witch aunt. And then come to find out she's a magic baby. Oh, I'm gonna sneeze. Oh, excuse me. Sorry. You see, I'm allergic. To certain aspects of this film. So the witch aunt was going to kill the baby. And then somehow the baby ends up, yes, right, the what aunt?
Which aunt?
The what aunt? Who's on first? Somehow it floats down the river like Moses. And then, of course, it ends up in the arms of this short guy. And the short guy ends up by going on a quest where he meets a criminal who wields a sword, and that's about all that Val Kilmer does. And then they go to the castle, and there are turning into pigs, and there is a good witch who is turned into, goodness, I can't remember, like 30 different things. And then she turns into a white goat, not a black goat, a white goat. And then she ends up by being naked, and then she tries to kill her sister and loses. And the short guy actually gets it. And then he's supposed to place the baby on the altar. And then somehow some magic thing happens, and there's an explosion of lightning, and they lived happily ever after, I guess. I think. Maybe. I think that's it. Yeah, that's all I have.
Thank you. Now that we have it clearly in all of our minds, for anybody who did not see the film, there might be a little bit more information that maybe Miss Beautiful Heather Greene. Do you have 5 things that we do need to know about this film in addition?
Sure. I can come up with some 5 things. So 1988 film. I'm going to give you the I have to find all my notes because I don't memorize this stuff, y'all. So basic stuff. I'm going to talk about context, the actors, Val Kilmer a little bit because that's why we chose the film, and then an important theme that people like to talk about with this movie. So first, film is 1988, as was said, directed by Ron Howard. It was written, the original story was written by George Lucas, who was the executive producer. If you don't know, by the way, who Ron Howard is, most people do, but he was Richie Cunningham in Happy Days is what he's most known for, or Opie from the Andy Griffith Show. He started directing sometime, I think, in the late 70s and early 80s. George Lucas, as I said, wrote the original story. George Lucas, if you don't know who that is, we may get a hexing, but besides that, he is most known for Star Wars. So, but he did write the original story and executive produce. This is a project that he long wanted to do and was done, of course, after Return of the Jedi. And it was shot on location in a number of different places, mostly Wales. And there is one time where they apparently tried to shoot one scene in China, but they would not let them in. So they had to do a green screen and put the place behind it. I can't remember which scene it is. So that's pretty much the basics. It was more expensive than a lot of the other films of its style of that time. I had some numbers, but I think it was 35 million was the budget. And if you think about like things like Dark Crystal was about 15, Legend I think was 30, Labyrinth was around 25, 30. So you're talking about this was a little bit higher, the budget, and it wound up its gross set 57 million and not particularly successful. It's
Can't
more
imagine
than
why.
more than it and it's generally forgotten. It's not a film that most people think of off the top of their heads when they think of these movies outside of Val Kilmer, really. So context, this is 1988. This is really the end, or the towards the end of the sword and sorcery film time period when these films were successful. I talked about this when we watched the movie a couple weeks ago, that sword and sorcery films became really popular in the early 80s and went through most of the 80s. By 87, 88, sort of the fantasy starts to change. Interest in witch films start to pick up, and
What
other
films?
fantasy films. I'm not going there. I got your number now. It takes me a while, but I get it. So this is 1988. This is really at the end of that long run of sword and sorcery, high fantasy films that were super popular, starting with, again, I'm going to pull my list out from the other time. You remember films like Beastmaster and Conan the Barbarian from the early 80s. Of course, Dark Crystal, I already mentioned. Return to Oz, not really a sword and sorcery, but was done as high fantasy. You had Dark Crystal, Dragon Slayer. There's a ton of them. And these are all, again, ones that really work with the hero's journey themes. They work with typically a young male who goes on a journey to find his. It's really a man's story of emerging into manhood, a boy's story of emerging into manhood is what they generally tend to be. These films of this era, this one differs, and that's one of the interesting things about this film. It is a journey. It is high fantasy and sword and sorcery. It has all of those elements, but yet it doesn't. But yet this is about fatherhood. This is about a man protecting a baby, and how that works, rather than the typical story of a young boy going on a journey to accomplish and to overcome and to do some kind of great thing like you see in Lord of the Rings, you see in Star Wars, you see in all these films. This is very different. The story has a twist. It also combines fairy tale elements, and the typical fairy tale stuff. The person he's conquering is an evil queen. Typically in these movies, the hero is journeying to conquer an evil man of some sort. Here, he is not. He is overcoming an evil queen, the evil mother. So there's all kinds of things that you can talk about with the meshing of these two themes coming together. That's totally film nerdy stuff that I would write about, but I will move on from that. But it's a very interesting, it works into the sword and sorcery films of the 1980s. The actors, there's a number of them, one of which I'm going to save to the end, as you can imagine. Warwick Davis, first of all, who plays Willow. He is known better as Professor Phileas Flitwick in the Harry Potter films. He was there. He was born in 1970. It was pretty young when he played this. He's a father, but he was, I think, 17 or 18 years old when he actually played in this movie. He was also in a film called Leprechaun in 1993. We have Joan Whalley. She winds up, after this movie, marrying Kilmer, his only marriage. She's been in Carnival Row, and she was also in the remake of Willow, or the TV version of Willow that came out a couple of years ago. Kevin Pollak, of course, he's probably one of the more recognizable characters here. He was born in 1957. He's been in films. There he is. He's the shorter one. Usual Suspects, Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, more recently, Few Good Men, Grumpy Old Men, Casino. He's been in a ton of things here and there. You're very recognizable by this point. You have Billy Barty. He is known for, he was in Legend. He was also in the terrible movie Under the Rainbow, which was the story of how, which is a comedy, it's not a real story, of how they cast the Munchkins from The Wizard of Oz. It's from early 80s. It's a comedy. He also is known as the brother of Mickey Rooney in Mickey McGuire. I never saw that, so I'm not familiar with that. But he's very recognizable, as you've seen. A lot of these characters that were little people in this movie were actually Ewoks. And that's one of the reasons why, that's one of the connections here they were able to go from, because they played in George Lucas's Return of the Jedi, and then eventually were made, and then followed George Lucas into this movie. And there's a number of them. So those are some of the characters. Now I'm going to move to, of course, Val Kilmer. He is the most memorable, especially now, of all of the actors here. And he is the most celebrated, probably. And Val Kilmer, if you guys don't know him, we've talked about him as playing in The Doors. I think that was the only film we've seen so far that has Val Kilmer that we've talked about. Of course, there he is. He's the sidekick in this movie. He plays a classic sidekick. So a little bit about our good friend Val. He was born in 1959. He just died of pneumonia. He was 65 years old. He grew up in LA in the Chatsworth district on a land that was owned by Roy Rogers originally. He had two brothers, one of which died when he was young. He eventually went to Juilliard. I also thought it was interesting. He grew up in a Christian Scientist family. But he eventually went to Juilliard, graduated, and then he began acting very early. And then, of course, started in movies almost immediately, finding success. And I'll go over some of those films in a second. He did find out he had throat cancer in 2015, and that's why we haven't seen him as much lately. But they did bring him back for Maverick, which was his last movie, and they were able to enhance his voice a little bit. It was a nice tribute. They couldn't make the movie without him. So when he passed, I asked people to say what their Val Kilmer movie is. I like to do that with big actors that everybody loves. Say, what's your Val Kilmer movie? What's your whatever movie? And so it was really interesting. Willow was one of them. People would bring up. There's Real Genius. That was one of them. His first film was actually Top Secret. And then Real Genius was his second one. And then, of course, Top Gun, which pretty much put him on the map for good at that point. Top Gun, when I think of Val Kilmer, if someone says his name, The Doors is the first one that comes to mind. Top Gun is second. So those are my two in order. Of course, other ones that came up, Thunderheart. Tombstone was a big one. A lot of people, and he was great in Tombstone. He was known as being a little bit of a wild card. He did have a number of famous girlfriends: Cindy Crawford, Michelle Pfeiffer, Cher, Daryl Hannah. So he was known for sort of being different and being eccentric. And one of the directors said he was the most psychologically troubled human beings he ever met. That was, I think, the director of Batman said that. So, of course, Batman's another one. And like I printed off all his movies. He's been in a ton of things. And I think his last couple movies, and it was Top Gun Maverick. And then he did do a story about himself, Val, and this is upside down and I can't read it. Is there any ones I haven't said that are your Val Kilmer movies? Put them in the chat. What are your go-to Val Kilmer movies while I finish my things?
MacGruber. That is a cinematic masterpiece based on the Saturday Night Live sketch where he is Von Kunt and he is the bad guy. And they make that terrible joke for 90 minutes. And that movie is gold. I recommend Patti an Edible and MacGruber.
Batman Forever. Yep.
Thank you.
And then I'm just going to go one last thing about the movie before we talk about more about other things. I just want to add that one of the big things this movie did was give a new perspective on little people who are always poorly represented in film. And that was a big thing for these actors, because in this film, one of the first times you actually see a person of shorter stature that is treated as a human being and not as like a little elf or a fantasy creature or a munchkin, or they actually are given families, children, and that's something that was recognized with this movie. And I read a professor wrote an article about it and talked about how Peter Dinklage, of course, one of the most recognizable people of short stature now, how he would not play those type of characters. And this was unusual. Willow was something unusual in that respect. Of course, Peter's character in Game of Thrones threw everything out the window. He's a fantastic character, and he does a beautiful job in that movie, and that sort of takes it to the next level. But this movie really was set apart for its representation of little people. And actually, one of the actors started a special foundation after this movie specifically to support the community. So that came out of that as well. There you go. Now I'm done.
Thank you. Thank you. So now we have the movie on all sides of things. Who wants to talk about it? Nobody.
Crickets.
I had never seen this movie until just a few hours ago. When it came out in 1988, somehow I did not go. I don't think the commercials at the time did it any favors. And as somebody who loves fantasy, like they just didn't resonate. And then I got lost for years, and I never bothered to see it before now. You know, I'm not supposed to give my review of the film yet, but I don't think I missed out on too much, to be honest. I know. I know. Terrible. I was expecting a Hex tonight, Courtney, and I think I'm going to get one, and I'm okay with it. I'm down. I'm just throw it all at me.
But don't throw Black Phillip.
But don't. Don't.
We've learned that lesson.
Yeah.
Okay.
Jason, I never saw it either. I missed it too. And I remember there were cups. I think they were from McDonald's or something.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And I remember looking at them and going, Willow? What is Willow? What is this? Like, I didn't even then have this desire to watch it then. So I'm not going to give my opinions on it either, but I didn't watch it up until just 2 days ago. Anybody else? Because that's right now.
Okay, we have a lot to say about this movie, obviously. I'm going to go next because I don't have anything more to say. I don't think it was the fault of the movie. I kept falling asleep, and I usually can keep myself awake, but I kept falling asleep. I don't think it was the fault of the movie, Courtney. I think I was just tired.
Guys, I haven't said anything yet. I didn't say
I know.
one word.
We
can feel it.
We're very intuitive. We can see. But I do love Val Kilmer, so it doesn't matter if I fell asleep. He's cute. That's it. I got to see him live at the Kodak Theater, which is now the Dolby, which is now where they do the Academy Awards, which is where they do America's Got Talent. I was on stage for America's Got Talent there, and I got to see him play Moses and actually do some really good acting in a stage play acting. I mean, he does good acting anyway, but he did a stage play, and I knew the drummer because I know drummers, and we were down in the pit and the thing, and it was pretty special. It was special. Yeah, that's all I got. I fell asleep. Right. Yeah.
Courtney.
So I had never heard of this movie at all. I was only 2 when it came out, so that's in my own defense.
No, darling, you're more than 2. Your mother has a picture of you when you were 3. Never mind. Good night, Gracie.
So I watched it for the first time tonight, and the opening credits, I didn't know anything about it. I knew that we picked it because of Val Kilmer. That was it. And then the opening credits, or actually, no, when I looked it up to see where it was streaming, I saw Professor Flitwick, and I was like, oh, know him, love him. And then whenever it said George Lucas on the screen, I was like, oh boy, I better pay attention because I need to know about this. And here's the thing. I watched it. I'm not giving my opinion yet, but I watched it, and
why is nobody giving their opinion?
I watched it, which should say a lot because I have had trouble watching the movies for the last, I don't know, 2 months, whatever, but I watched it. And it was on, and my eyes looked upon it. And
Well, we're good. We're professional.
High
yeah.
praise. High praise.
Like, all right, so I guess I'll be the first to give my opinion then, so that you all can decide whether or not you're getting hexed. I think that I think that it was fun. I think that it was funny. Val Kilmer was delicious to look at in every variation in this movie. I did immediately notice the roles that were given to the people of shorter stature, because that's something that bothers me a lot when I watch a movie. So I really was pleased to see that they had all the things that you said. I think I didn't mind it. I think I would have loved it if I was like, sitting down and in the mood to like put on a great adventure movie, just the same as Lord of the Rings for me. Like I just wasn't fully in the mood for it. So I feel like I can't make my judgment of the movie based on what mood I was in today. So I think I would have loved it if I had watched it under the right circumstances. So there you go. Are you getting hexed, Jason?
No, I don't think so now. I feel so
Okay.
much better. I wondered, so for some people, this is a really formative film because they saw it maybe when they were 8 or 9 or 10 or something like that. And I think I was a little too old to really even want to see it, maybe, because it just felt like it was really targeting children. And, I was, I think, 17 or 16, so I was very serious and very adult at that point in my life, right? So I'm like, I'm too cool for this, right? So yeah, I was really worried that this might have been one of your films that you had grown up with or something. And
Nope.
yeah, good.
I never heard of it.
Heather, you didn't really.
Yeah. There was a visceral reaction from
Mhm.
Heather that we need to hear about.
No, well, my visceral reaction was, is everybody not giving their opinions because they're terrified of getting hexed? Because if that's the kind of power Courtney has at this point, we need to have a discussion.
I am a very powerful witch, and everyone, not even just here, everyone in my life, see, there's a t-shirt about it at mysterycontrol.com. Order it for Mother's Day. Everyone in my life is like, hey, someone wronged me, and my eyeballs go. And they're like, we knew if we said it in front of you, then there would be a problem. So,
well, I'm going to give my opinion, and I'm not afraid of being hexed by you, but that's okay. I remember seeing this movie when it came out. Everything George Lucas was aired in big time and with fanfare in my house. But I didn't remember it very much. I remembered the two little guys, the little ones, when I was watching it, but I didn't really remember it. It's not a movie that I remember even Val Kilmer being in. It feels like to me, it's almost, George Lucas is a phenomenal storyteller. And there are moments in this movie that are really good. And there are moments like the two-headed thing at the end that are just really bad. So it misses the mark. It feels like it's in the Lucas category of the Ewok Adventure TV movie. It's like it could have been a really good story, but kind of didn't really find its place really well. It didn't have the epicness or the seriousness that certainly Lord of the Rings has or I don't know. But you can tell there's moments where I'm like, oh, that's definitely a Lucas inspired film. There's points where I can see that. And there's some lovely moments, but yeah, it just, like what Tabitha just said, it's got the evil queen in it. It's got, the baby part. It's just, it could have been a good story. There's some story moments that are good, but it just doesn't resonate with me enough where I'm gonna watch it again. But it's not terrible. I guess I don't mind it, but I'm really
which is also a t-shirt that you can get on mysterycontrol.com.
Yes, yeah, there you go. I didn't mind it. I didn't mind it, but it's not something I'm going to, be watching over and over.
Do you know what movie, like Lucasfilm movie, this one really reminded me of a lot?
Ewok
And
Adventures.
no, not Ewok Adventures. And
Okay.
Lucasfilm is responsible for some really great films, of course.
Yeah.
Indiana Jones and the whole Star Wars things. But it reminded me of one of his other overlooked 1980s masterpieces, Howard the Duck, a movie that begs to answer the question, would Leah Thompson have sex with a duck? I mean, it's right up there for me with Howard the Duck.
I can see that.
Hmm. Very important film.
Yes, very important film.
I did have a couple of notes that I would like to bring to everyone's attention, just put on the table for us to maybe discuss. Some thoughts I had in the beginning of the movie, which were when they were in the dog things were coming in, and they reminded me very much of the rodents of unusual size from Princess Bride, but like worse. So I wrote down rat boar wolves ? Like, I didn't really understand what was going on there. But then also with the baby floating like down the river in the little basket, I was like, this reminds me of another film we covered with the very serious business baby with the hair that was in the boat in the ocean. And I can't remember for the life of me what movie that was. But
Secret of Roan Inish. It was the Secret of Roan Inish.
Yeah. So there it was again, the baby with the hair in the little boat sailing down the river, and I was like, that was my first thought. I was like, well, it's gonna be another one of these. So that was pretty exciting. And then one of my favorite scenes of the whole movie was when Val Kilmer was in the crow cage and he was trying to trick them into giving him water, and he was like fake crying, and they kept like trying to give him the water but then like splashing it away from him. I thought that was pretty funny. So those are my notes. That was all
I thought it was incredibly contrived. I thought it was entirely too long. I was incredibly bored. I was trying to pay attention, and I was scrolling on Marketplace. That's why I found those lovely pictures in Massachusetts that look like me. And that's why my friend bought them. And I will say, I have never identified more with a character than I did the Evil Queen, because I love children but can never finish a whole one. Talk about Evil Queens. I mean, I get Evil Queen. I get that. I get Evil Queen. She was my favorite character in the entire ordeal. Other than her, I didn't understand why there were the little guys that looked like Dr. Seuss had written them.
Mm-hmm.
You get these shorter people, but then now why are they this big and bad CGI? Like,
they were so bad. They were so bad. They ruined every moment when they were on screen. And when they get left behind, I just kept hoping, I hope they stay left behind and they never catch up again, because these characters are not funny. They look fake the whole way through, and I hate them. I just hated them. Just hated them.
I thought they were
I like them too. Me too.
No, I hated them.
They were cute. Oh my God. Jason, turn your light off.
No.
That was mean for no
No,
reason.
I'm so on board with that, Jason. I am on your side. I am so on your side for that.
I think the contrived is a good point, because it does feel like he just smattered a bunch of things from fairy tales and fantasy and put them all together to make it into the story. But there's points that work really well. But then it's like, why does the Evil Queen look like the Snow White Evil Queen so much? I'm like, why couldn't you do your own Evil Queen? Whoever did production design on that, And yeah, it was, I think it was geared at kids. It was going for the labyrinth and the audiences, where Jim Henson was covering.
I would like to bring up a very important question proposed in the chat, which is from Colin. Are we sure the baby in the boat was not from Ouija Shark? And I feel like it's apropos that we must mention Ouija Shark in a movie with bad CGI. So I just wanted to bring that to everyone's attention. No, it could be. That makes a lot of sense. The baby was probably from Ouija Shark.
Yeah.
Or is this secretly a prequel to Ouija Shark?
What if there was a river shark?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god.
Mhm.
So many options.
Wow.
This movie feels like it was a desperate attempt to launch a franchise, right? Like that was the point of it. It was, we wanted to be a franchise. We want this to be a summer blockbuster for kids. And as Richard-Lael says, it's all this stuff smushed together. And you can take a lot of ingredients that are good, but they all don't work together on a sandwich.
I mean, and even the baby in a boat, that is so Moses. I mean, speaking of Val Kilmer playing Moses, that is so Moses. I feel like that George Lucas did not come up with an ounce of originality when he wrote this. It was a little bit over here and a little bit over here and a little bit of this and a little bit of that. And it really was, it was a nothing sandwich. It was like, it was gas station sandwich. All of the calories and none of it good for you. Gas station sandwich.
To be fair to George Lucas, so a lot
To
of
be
these
fair.
movies had the same canned pieces. Like the prophecy in a baby, same. It's in every Beastmaster. It's in all, whatever we always. Harry Potter, for goodness sake, it's the same. These are a lot of these elements that you're seeing in this are the same elements you see in every sword and sorcery film and every hero's journey film. It's the same thing. Finding the character on the side of the road as you're journeying who becomes your sidekick. It's in all of them. Conan the Barbarian has a guy. I mean, it's the same thing over and over. So yeah, he brought them all in and regurgitated them in a new story. And my opinion is that, again, that there's elements that really make this story could have been told better. It could have worked. It didn't. It wasn't great. And it was piecemeal. And it's unfortunate.
I'm having an interesting experience while we're discussing this, where I went from it was fine, I didn't mind it, to like, I don't understand why now I'm having a visceral reaction coming to defense of it, but calling something a gas station sandwich is
They're
Really?
but now I love it and I'm upset.
I mean, it could have been even worse. I mean, it could have been gas station boner pills. Like, it does nothing. It goes nowhere. You're not getting a raise out of it. Goes nowhere.
Now this is on principle going to become my new favorite movie.
That's good.
Where you put that with Weedy Shark and the Christmas tree.
You all know how much I love the bad CGI, so I think I have to love it now, and this is a problem because I didn't 3 minutes ago.
So now
you know another thing that worried about me with this movie and why I was scared to talk about it for a while is, what if Willow, Patti's Willow, was named after Willow? Right? Like, maybe like Patti has like this love of Willow, and it's secretly her favorite film of all time, but not so secret because she named Willow after Willow. And if we give it a bad review, maybe Patti will be mad or disappointed in us or something.
That was it. I was just afraid to say so. Yeah, no, I had not seen this movie until I fell asleep watching it. So no way there. It was not named after this. I would have named it after Val Kilmer's character, so not Willow, because he's cute. That's it. He's still cute on the other side. So this, and everybody who's turning in for the first time to watch us, this is the Witches movie. Professional. We've discussed it sort of, not like usual, but this is perfect. But do we have any quotes on this film, Courtney?
Oh, okay, hear me out. I do have a couple. I would like to say that I've had a very stressful mental health week, which I think should be as simple as saying I've had bad allergies today or a cold. So I like to normalize that by talking about it. So I've had a rough mental health week. So while I was watching 2 hours and 8 minutes of this movie, because I didn't love it then like I love it now, it was very difficult to pay attention and do anything else. So I focused on paying attention, and then I pulled a couple of quotes. So nobody get their hopes up. I only have a few. One that I did really, really like in the beginning was when the magic guy said, magic is the bloodstream of the universe. Forget all you know or think you know. All that you require is your intuition. And he was saying that, I think, before they did the little like weird finger test that I don't understand. But then one screamed out at me when he said, "I will consult the bones." And I too consult the bones. So I thought that was very exciting. But then he shakes the bones out and he says, "The bones tell me nothing." And then I just thought it was beautiful the way that it was like, everyone's waiting for him to say what the bones say. And he whispers to whoever the other guy, Willow, and he says, "Have you any love for this child?" And Willow really thinks about it. And he says, yes, I do. And this is all like whispered and hushed. And then he yells out loud, "The bones have spoken." So like he takes it. It's like, if we're brought up Harry Potter, like a Sorting Hat moment where he takes into consideration Willow's feelings and like really gives him that chance and then makes it, that the bones have spoken. And then of course for Heather, and now in spite of all of you saying bad things about I dropped a bone, sorry, about the CGI people, that they said that he said get rid of the lizards, and they said your mom's a lizard, your mother's a lizard. So those are my quotes.
Thank you very much. That's great.
Get my bone that I felt.
Don't drop your bones. Jason, do we have one of your miraculous Mankey movie minute or moment?
We do. So I have to preface this. I've been in Vegas for the last couple of days, and all I did there was eat and drink, and I'm exhausted. And I stayed at a friend's house, and they live on the Strip, and all the noise and the lights come in. My life is hard, is what I'm telling you. And you don't want to change spots with me because you didn't want to be there, right? Of course not. So, I'm exhausted, and I had to come home, and I had to watch this movie, and then I had to write this thing that I'm obligated to do every week now. So here it is, my making fun of Willow. Take an already successful young director who has found some success in the sci-fi realm, add a phenomenally handsome actor ready for major Hollywood stardom, stir in the immensely likable Warwick Davis, a rousing score from James Horner, and a story from Star Wars mastermind George Lucas himself. Mix all that stuff together on a film set in beautiful rural Wales, and you should have a huge summer blockbuster, right? Right? Anyone? But no, instead you end up with the major Hollywood misfire, Willow. And I know some of you are young enough that this was a formative movie for you. That's great. But do you know what is not great? Willow. And that's a shame, because I wish this had been a good movie. Willow isn't just a giant letdown. It's also responsible for other equally terrible things that followed in its wake. Let's start with why this movie is a huge disappointment. If you've been watching the show, you know that I hate the brownies. If I ever see another brownie in a movie, it will be too soon. I am going to eat real brownies with relish now, because I am going to enjoy thinking about killing those little annoying goobers who were not funny, not a joy to watch, and pretty much ruined every scene they were in for me. Hey, Rule and Fran Jean, I only know your names because I looked them up on Wikipedia. Please never show your faces on a Hollywood screen anywhere ever again. I never thought I could dislike the face so much, but here we are. You two are just the worst. The brownies are also responsible for the absolute dumbest love story I have ever seen on screen before. And I've seen both The Killing Tree and Blood Orgy of the Sea Devils. Brownies sprinkle magic dust on Jim Morrison, and he falls in love with one of the bad guys, and she returns his love because he is an attractive, dopey pest. Love how the end of the film leaves a tiny baby with the woman who was trying to kill that same baby just 48 hours ago. Oh, see? Jeffrey Dahmer isn't so bad. He didn't try to eat that one kid. I think he's a good guy now. Awful. Awful writing. Go away. Terrible. And hey, here's a powerful sorceress who has been turned into a possum, And we know that she's a powerful sorceress because the possum told us so.
I love the possum.
And then she turns into a few annoying kinds of birds and finally a goat before becoming an elderly lady. Yay. You know what? I just did not care. Also, Crooked Stick was just not as cool as a lightsaber, and I hate George Lucas for trying to make me think that it was. Oh, speaking about the end of the movie, the baby is going to take my throne, so I'm going to banish her to another dimension in a long drawn-out spell. Get out of here. I'm no baby murderer, but I'm guessing there are hundreds of relatively easy ways to kill a baby. It's a baby. It's delicate. If you want to get rid of one, just drop them in a pool. This is not rocket science. Why are villains so dumb? Bavmorda, what is that, a Bulgarian type of beer? You are not scary as an antagonist. And would George Lucas learn any lessons from Willow? Absolutely not, as he would just double down on the failures of Willow when the Star Wars prequel started. Characters to sell toys to kids? Instead of annoying brownies, I'll one-up them with the super annoying Jar Jar Binks.
No!
Did you hate this love story? Just wait until Anakin Skywalker conceives children with his babysitter. Bravo. That love story isn't obsessively creepy at all. Watch out, Julie LeCouver. I'm coming after you all these years later because my inner first grader just can't let go of what we shared together. And how do you feel about rudimentary CGI? After the success of practical effects in Star Wars, we get some really horrible-looking two-headed CGI monsters here and other things that look really stupid. Lucas would only double down on all these bad decisions going forward. Puppets? Who needs puppets? I've got a Commodore 64 with a graphics card circa 1988. And only if we could get a sequel to Willow. Maybe they'll finally get it right on their next go-round. Well, apparently they did make a sequel, but that thing was on and off Disney Plus so fast that Mickey Mouse's only official comment was, "Haha, not today, Willow." And instead of calling this movie Willow, they should have been more honest and called it Weeping Willow, because that is what Willow will make you do. Weep. Weep tears of joy when it finally ends.
Wow. I think you hated that movie more than anyone that we've seen yet.
I know, and I wanted to love this movie. I loved like Warwick Davis from the moment he's like tilling the fields in that movie, and the little kids run up to him, and it kind of reminded me of The Shire and Lord of the Rings, and I was down to love the movie. And then it just got dumber and dumber, and when the brownies showed up, I'm done. No, oh God. My wife's sitting next to me. She's like, I watched this as a kid. And I'm like, well, that explains a lot of things when we fight. It's terrible.
Oh my God.
All right.
So just to let you know, the sequel that they made was released in 2022, cost $150 million to make. Talk about an epic flop.
And they've already pulled it off Disney Plus. It's like so unfair. Like, you know, I mean, part of me was like, maybe I could try watching this to give it a go now that I finally see Willow. But, you know, maybe it's best that the whole thing is just banished to the ether. I feel like I'm really passionate about my dislike of this movie tonight.
You are.
And I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
It's a gas station sound.
Yes.
I know something else that's going to get banished to the ether after that performance, and it is not this movie.
All right.
That performance was good. It was good.
Now that everybody is clear on all of our thoughts, all of our opinions, those of us that had any, and those of us that didn't, now we vote. Now we vote. And all of you guys that are so beautifully vocal today in the chat room, wands up, wands down.
It is so far down. It is like my dagger. It is dull and doesn't have much of a point.
I think Warwick Davis is too adorable and too nice, and I like him and everything else, that I just can't go the total down, you know? And in honor of Val Kilmer. I'm just gonna 50-50, but yeah.
I was neutral until we started this podcast, and somehow over the course of the last 54 minutes, I feel like I will defend. This will be the hill I die on. Is Willow for some reason?
Our audience is with you, Courtney. We've got ones up. We've got ones up. Corn's up. One's kind of up.
People love this movie
The
now.
good thing, Courtney, is if that's the hill you die on, it's going to be a short one.
Richard-Lael.
This is going way down.
So we are a lot of in the middle somewhere on the thing. A lot of wands up, and thank you guys for sticking with yourself. Thank you, Courtney, for changing your mind with that is fabulous. Next week we are doing. I just forgot.
Season of the Witch.
Season of the Witch
With Nicolas Cage, 2011.
Season of the Witch. So everybody watch it this week so you can give us your thoughts and opinions. And there we go. Anybody have anything going on this week that they want to talk about, Jason?
I will be at the Spring Mysteries in Seattle, Washington next Wednesday through Sunday. The Spring Mysteries are a recreation of the illusion mysteries of ancient Greece. And I'll be doing a couple of rituals and workshops.
Beautiful. Thank you. Richard-Lael?
Next year, I'll be in Scotland, June, I think, of next year. So you can go to tracelesstours.com and then go to the Sacred Tours. And that would be me. I'll be on there. You can also find me on my website, thegentlemanpsychic.com, where I do readings and seances here in my home in New Orleans. So if you are in the mood for some magic and some occultism and a nice, lovely space, I am the one, the Gentleman Psychic.
Thank you very much. Courtney.
I will be very busy visiting both Jason and Richard-Lael at night as I become their sleep paralysis demons after tonight, and crafting my various hexes that will come packed with fury. Other than that, that's it. You can find me on the interwebs and defending Willow within an inch of my life, apparently.
Perfect. Thank you. Heather?
You can find me on the internet. I'm not going anywhere anytime soon. We had a really great time in DC talking about witches and paganism and witchcraft and bruja in front of journalists last week. And so that was my last thing for a little bit. And I am going to be mostly planning Mystic South. So we'll be working on that, as I mentioned earlier. So keep an eye out and come join us in Atlanta in July.
Thank you. Like us, follow us, our websites, our social media. I am going to be anybody near Scottsdale and Phoenix area. I'm going to be speaking tomorrow a luncheon in Scottsdale at Neiman Marcus. Very fancy Neiman Marcus, kind of a women's empowerment thing. And then tomorrow night I'm flying off to Wisconsin, Eau Claire, Wisconsin, for Vita
Vitamin.
Metapara-Pro.
Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
Yeah, I'm going to be doing a mediumship gallery and ghost hunts and all sorts of fun things. So like us, follow us, watch the Season of the Witch for next week. Get your bling, Philip, if you don't have one yet. And, they actually can survive being thrown across the room if they've done love. If it's done with love.
Can we do a quick wands up for Val Kilmer?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Someone said it in the chat, and I think we should.
Wands up.
Wands up for Val.
Wands up.
Also, watch a Saturday Night Live episode. It's so good. Watch a Saturday Night Live episode. So amazing.
So, all right. So come back next week. It is that time. We have one more thing to do, which is, and I don't know how close we are to 7, but here we go. 1, 2.
Longest cackle ever.